maybe let's just take maybe a collective breath here, just to like be together, be in space. That's one of the things that I'm really excited about the Giving Project, is that sort of being together for an extended period of time. So would invite you to wherever you're at, just find yourself grounded somewhere on the floor, if you're standing, or a seat. Yeah, and just invite you to take maybe a deep breath, whatever you need to do to be centered and present and open. I always get a little nervous with hosting people for these things, so it's good for me too. Yeah. And yeah, when you're ready, just invite you to join us here to learn about this really cool new program that we're launching at Maine Initiatives. If you have any sort of needs that come up in terms of or support, to chat Ashley, and good moment for me to also just introduce team members here at Maine Initiatives that will be with us today and put a lot of work into this as well. So Ashley Balco, who's the Director of Community Organizing and Engagement here at Maine Initiatives. So feel free to chat Ashley if you have any needs that come up. Also, Bree Chamberlain, want to introduce Bree, who is a program associate at Maine Initiatives, relatively new to Maine Initiatives. Really excited that Bree is on board. And Bree will be working really closely with the Giving Project. So those of you for whom this is something that you will be doing, you'll get to know Bree really well. I also want to introduce Bertie D'Agostino. Bertie is also with Maine Initiatives here. Bertie's a program associate with Community Organizing and Engagement and really focuses on our events. So Bertie is also involved with the Giving Project. If anything comes up during this session, please reach out to Ashley. Okay, let's just jump in. Thanks, Bree, for sharing the screen here. All right. Let us know if you have any trouble to seeing that. So welcome. We will today hopefully give you a sense of what the Giving Project is. You'll leave with a good sense of what it is. It is something that's new here for Maine. It's happening across the country, but this is the first time actually it's been held or launched in New England. So we're really excited about that. So hopefully you'll leave with some great information about it that you're also willing to share and communicate. Just a quick overview of our agenda today. We'll start with a little bit of an icebreaker activity, small groups, and just to prompt you of what you'll be talking about, like groups of 3, really to share what brings you either to this info session about the Giving Project and or like what's on your mind right now related to social justice in Maine. And hopefully those 2 questions are related. So yeah, why are you here? Basically, what brings you here today? So we'll have a little time to get to know who else is in the room. We'll talk a little bit about Maine Initiatives for those of you who are new to Maine Initiatives, and also about community-led grant making, because that is the focus of our work in general. But I think Giving Project is a great example of that, and it's a new way of doing it as well for us and for Maine too, hopefully. Give you some information about the Giving Project, what it is. We'll also talk about the network, because one of the really cool things about the Giving Project is that we are connected to this network across the country of radical peer funders. And so I want to share a little bit about that. We will also have one of the directors, Tracy of the Giving Project Network, will join us to talk about the network and the model a little bit, and also to share her experience, because she is a Giving Project alum too. So you get to hear from somebody who's done it directly. We'll talk a little bit about logistics, what the commitment is, the expectations. We'll go over the schedule. And then again, like I said, we'll have time at the end for some Q&A. All right, next slide, please, Bree. Yeah, and as you go through today, I'm just offering two questions just to think about. And to keep in mind, the first is, have you had conversations about race in a truly cross race? This will be also cross class space where there was a balance between people of color and identified people. That's one of our goals, is to have really a mixed race space to do some deep dives into talking about racial capitalism. And then the other question just would put out there as an invitation to think about. So next slide, Bree. Have you had open and honest conversations with others about wealth and your relationship to wealth? That is also a big part of the Giving Project, and something that is an opportunity here in a really held space and held way. All right. Now we are gonna, Ashley's gonna help break us out into some small groups. The invitation is to share for no more than 2 minutes each. We're gonna give you like 7 or 8 minutes. So in those groups, please share your name, pronouns, location, where are you calling in, zooming in from, and like I mentioned, why are you here? What brings you to the Giving Project? Or what's on your mind related to social justice right now? And as I said, maybe those are really connected. So groups of 3, and then you'll get one of those 60-second prompts to come back into the room, and hopefully everybody gets a chance to share. And it's a chance also for you to get to know who else is potentially interested in this awesome program. All right. So Ashley, and for those of you who are, there's a number of people who aren't on screen right now. So some grace around that. They're driving and just making it work for them to be here. So let's welcome them too in the small groups. And some people may not be able to participate if they're doing some other things too. So just be mindful of that. We good, Ashley? Great. All right. See you back here shortly. Great. Thanks. Nice job, Ashley.
Hold on. I gotta move Grace to room 4.
Okay.
Just make sure. Oh. Sorry, Keelan, I'm gonna move you to group 1.
It looks like maybe just left. I don't know, but we'll see if they come back in. Oh.
Is there anyone?
And just
there we go.
so we know, the recording is still on. Just, I'm sure we can edit it out, but.
Oh yeah, we can pause it.
Okay.
All right, we're recording again.
Do you want me to skip the slide right when they come back, or do you want me to hang on this slide when they return while we chat or offer a?
Oh yeah, maybe come back, stick on this slide just for a moment, and then, yay.
Tracy.
Welcome, Tracy.
Hello.
Hi. Tracy, people are about to come back from a little breakout. And
oh, great. Oh, it's just you guys. Hi, team.
yeah. Hey, Tracy, really quickly, would you pronounce your last name for me, please?
Ganyu.
Ganyu.
I'll put it in the chat box.
Cool. Ganyu. Thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, people just did a little icebreaker activity about what brings you, yeah.
Can you tell me if folks know about the Giving Project? Or are you gonna get into that? Like,
Oh,
what
we're
it is?
gonna get, oh yeah, I'm gonna say it before you.
Okay,
I'm gonna go through the model. Yeah, that's
Cool.
we're getting. Thanks. Welcome back. Welcome back. And actually, let me know when you think everybody is back.
Okay, yeah, they have 30 seconds.
Nice. Or maybe a quick raise of hand. Did you meet anybody new in your little breakout? Yeah, great. All right. Success already. Okay, welcome back. Great. So hopefully you got to hear a little bit about what brought others to this space, or just also what's up for people right now in terms of social justice in Maine. And was just asking if people got a chance to meet somebody new. Yeah, it's a great turnout for this session. And as you can see, we've got one new person joined us. So Tracy Ganyu, who I just told you would be joining us here. So Tracy is now with us and will be sharing a little bit about the network, also and about her experience shortly, and I'll let her introduce herself then. But wanted to also get a quick gauge of maybe raise your hand or something in the chat box if Maine Initiatives is new to you. If this is your first interaction with Maine Initiatives, maybe give us a wave, just so I know if there's, all right, looks like everybody is somewhat familiar. So I'm going to move through a little overview of Maine Initiatives pretty quickly to get to the good stuff. I mean, that is good stuff too. But if you're familiar, okay, only through Manshare, cool. Thanks, Chloe. Let me give you a little brief overview of Maine Initiatives, just to give you a sense of generally what we do, but it also, I think, will help understand why we're so excited about the Giving Project too, and how this like fits with like really what our values are and where we want to be moving and how we want to be moving. So go ahead, next slide, please, Bree. All right, so Maine Initiatives. This is our mission statement, our vision here. Maine Initiatives, a fund for change that cultivates social, economic, and environmental justice through grants and other support to grassroots organizations in Maine communities. Okay, and we've had that mission statement for a while now. We were founded in the 80s, but really went through a transformation almost 10 years ago now with a new executive director. So next slide, please, Bree. Where we have committed ourselves to racial justice. We did a listening session across the state, and also we're just taking a temperature of where we're at right now as a country and what's needed in Maine. And what we heard and what we felt is that we need to focus on racial justice. So shared our sort of broader mission statement, but this is really the core, the heart of our work, okay, is a commitment to racial justice and what that looks like in our work in various ways. Next slide, please. So what does this look like? Okay, what does racial justice look like in our work? So we use radically participatory place-based philanthropy to advance racial justice in Maine. Okay, participatory processes is really at the core of what we do. And I told Erica that she's going to be in here somewhere. This photo's from our last Grants for Change grant making retreat, where we got together, I believe it's 27 leaders in our community to make decisions about our grants. Okay, so this is what we mean in terms of participatory at the grant making level. It's also seen throughout our process too, in terms of design, community input. Next slide, please, Bree. Community-led grant making, right? We think that the people who should be involved in decision making are both those who are impacted and also those who are most proximate and also know and have spent time with the issues that we're making grants around. So another reason we're really excited about the Giving Project, right, is we are building in collective learning too, right? So next slide, please, Bree. So just a little bit about how we do that. Okay, we identify, mobilize, leverage resources. So we raise and pool funds from the community. We're technically a public charity, so we're not a huge family foundation. We raise the money every year that we grant out. So it really is about community. Our funds, we fund and strengthen organizations. So we put those resources in the hands of those who are on the front lines, grassroots organizing and activism, and develop deep relationships with those folks in those communities. And we see our work as building an ecosystem for change. So individuals, organizations, donors, funders, networks, okay? And this is also where the Giving Project comes in, because this to me is like the next sort of wave of where we need to be moving in terms of building that ecosystem. And for Maine Initiatives, this is where we see our evolution is really investing in that ecosystem and people and donor organizing. So finally, just a bit about the programs, how we do that. Chloe was saying, knows about Maine Initiatives through MaineShare, which is a workplace giving program. We also have the Grants for Change program, which funds BIPOC-led and serving organizations. And we're about to launch that again this year on Thursday. We also have developed the Immigrant-Led Organization Fund to support those communities. And also this spring, we launched for the first year an Outdoor Equity Fund to support BIPOC, again, led and serving groups working in the outdoor equity space. Okay, and then our newest program is the Giving Project, which we will talk about now. Yeah, so the Giving Project. What is it? Okay, it's an innovative model for building relationships and moving money for real change in Maine here, okay? Each Giving Project brings together a cross-class, cross-race, gender-diverse, intergenerational group of 20 to 25 people, okay, who share a vision for social justice and want to apply their time, talent, and resources to supporting movements for social change. That's a lot, but that's what it is in a nutshell. We'll get into that. Maybe back to the next slide. Yeah, briefly, Bree. I wanted to just share the, yeah, exactly. Yes, so this is a cohort. So what is the Giving Project, right? Here's a group of 25 people. This was a cohort from the Crossroads Fund out of Chicago, recent cohort, who went through this 6-month process. Okay, so this is at its core what it is. It's this deep relationship building and donor organizing really grounded in this cohort. So next slide, please. Yeah. So, right, a model of social justice philanthropy engages people across race and class to support, and I believe all of the Giving Projects around the country, but certainly the one that we're focusing on, we're really leaning into supporting and resourcing community organizing. We feel like that is a need across Maine. We've seen that in our various programs too, how to really resource community organizing, broad-based grassroots community organizing. So that will be a focus of our Giving Project. Next slide, please. Goals and outcomes. Okay, what do we hope through this? First, move significant money to grassroots community organizing, right? First and foremost, we are trying to resource those on the ground who are doing organizing, and we feel like we all have a role to play. We've seen that at Maine Initiatives, and we've tried to provide spaces for community involvement. And this is an exciting new way for community to be involved in that, okay? Build community. This is I'll say it a number of times, really a 6-month commitment that you're gonna be working closely with a group of people, this group. So you will be building some really strong relationships through this. Build shared political analysis of the system. and understanding of social justice movements. So there's a whole political education component to the Giving Project. So we're also going to be doing collective learning and shared storytelling too. So it's really bringing that analysis into to a personal level. We're going to develop our skills as donor organizers. This is a great opportunity for groups that are working with organizations who want to become better fundraisers. So we will be working closely with you to develop those, build those skills, and then supporting you along the way. So an amazing professional development opportunity for people that are working to support work, for people that are working in the work. And finally, we are trying to create a sustainable new model for funding critical underfunded social change work. And it's happening. It's happening across the country. Tracy will talk a little bit about that. Next slide, please. We have this cool, if it works, we'll see, cool little video to share about the model. And we'll go through some lift up some pieces, but take a listen. Yeah. Yeah, whenever you're ready, Bree. This is a neat sort of metaphor analogy for the Giving Project. And to me, it really solidifies what it is. But yeah, the Beehive model. We'll let you take a look and then we'll sort of dig into a couple of pieces here.
Of a beehive and pollination to represent how the different components of the Giving Project model work together to develop donor organizers that are moving resources to social justice movements. The hive represents the Giving Project. There are three main components represented in the hive. First, political education on race and class grounds a shared analysis in local history, conditions, and struggles. This includes a critique of traditional philanthropy and the challenges of resourcing local community organizing and social movements. Second is skill building. Through cohort trainings and individual coaching, participants learn a donor organizing model to do one-on-one grassroots fundraising. Third, all of this is done within a cross-race and cross-class cohort of about 20 participants that are building community together. In the hive, they're learning together, and then they're ready to go out and pollinate. Before collecting resources from their community, each participant reflects on what they've learned and makes a decision to give a donation. They are encouraged to stretch toward an amount that is personally meaningful to them. Often, this is the largest donation participants have ever made. This meaningful gift goes into the cohort's collective honeypot. Then, they begin the pollination. They have one-on-ones with members of their families and communities, sharing what they're learning and organizing their communities around a vision of collective liberation. Like cross-pollination, they're bringing folks in around organizing, social justice, and redistribution of resources. They bring these ideas and experiences back into the hive, informing the group to continue collective learning. As they do that work, they're collecting nectar or individual donations. The honey represents the resource collected. In the honeycomb, we see the meaningful gifts plus hundreds of these individual donations. Now, the whole time they've been developing this shared analysis of race and class, the final phase is going back into skill building with a focus on grant making. They are reading applications, addressing them on criteria grounded in the shared analysis, and doing site visits together. The shared analysis grounds the group moving through a democratic decision-making process to decide how to redistribute the funds. At the end of the 6-month process, each Giving Project moves this honey, usually over $100,000, to local community organizations.
Thanks, Bree. So I love that metaphor for a number of reasons. One, I love bees. Bees are amazing. They're awesome. But it also does, I think, really crystallize for me how this works in our community, okay? And also the different roles we play, but the different aspects of the Giving Project. I'm going to highlight a few of them here from that. As I do that, I would love for you to think about which of these, what aspect of this do you feel like what resonates with you most in terms of like what we need to strengthen, what we need to strengthen, what we need to support here in Maine? Many of you, I know a number of you are working in fields where you're connected to a lot of the great organizing here happening in Maine. So I'm curious to know, and I'll do a little prompt or at the end here of like, what aspect of this do you feel like we need to really lean into and strengthen here in Maine? So a couple of things I want to lift up, and then I'll prompt you for that. So yeah, next slide, please, Bree. Right, so here are just some of the main aspects of this model. Donor organizing for community organizing. Relationship building, huge piece of it. Political education, right? Resourcing movements, skill building and community connection, and democratic decision making. So next slide, please, Bree. And just wanted to explain a little bit about each. We've talked a little bit about it, but want to get into each of those pieces at least. There's a lot of things we could pull out. Relationship building, right? So cross race, cross class cohort comes together approximately 8 to 10 times over a 6-month period. We're going to do this in person for the most part. We're going to gather in person, which feels just really important. And in this time of like, I don't know about you, but I've been feeling that need for connection. Zoom, great that we have it. And now that it feels safer to be together, we really want to honor that. And we're going to try to hold most of these sessions in person. Each person commits to organizing their community to give support to the financial goal of the cohort. Okay. So the money that we raise, we're going to raise this money collectively to make grants, Political education piece, also a huge part of this, right? Workshops, training, peer support. We're going to explore racial capitalism, develop shared analysis, understanding about how these systems interact in our society, okay? And really dig into power. We feel like that's huge, right? If you're going to be making decisions around grants, if you're going to be connected to the work, to have that shared analysis, shared understanding, and really coming also from personal storytelling as well. Next slide, please, Bree. Resourcing movements, right? Key to this. Each person in the cohort will make a meaningful financial gift first, big part of this. And we can talk, if you're interested, we will be talking more about what that looks like. And then the cohort too, together in terms of resourcing movements, selects the grants recipients, okay? Moving those resources into grassroots organizations. All right. Our goal that we've set for this first one is $100,000. That's our goal for this first giving project, to raise that collectively. Next slide, please. Skill building. Everybody commits to organizing in their community, okay, to support the financial goal. And this process of fundraising and organizing in community is something that we will do workshops around, we will support, we will share skills around. So like I said, great professional development opportunity around this. And also just in terms of movement building, I just feel like we need this. And I've heard that from people, right? People wanna contribute, know they have a role to play. Here is where we build some skills collectively around that. Next slide, please, Bree. Democratic decision-making, finally. So the cohort will be trained in democratic decision-making in terms of grant-making processes. Somewhat, if you've been a part of our grant-making retreats, somewhat similar to that, but there's, it's just so many cool aspects of that too. And I feel like these are also skills, collective democratic decision-making around any kind of like resources, but we're going to do it connected to the grant making here, which will include site visits. So you will also get to really connect with the organizations and organizers. So as prompted, maybe in the chat, if you have access to it, 1 through 7. So there's pieces here, and I'll read them if it's hard to see. I ask you just to put in the chat a number you think that corresponds to or resonates the most with you around what we need to strengthen here in Maine. What you feel like, yeah, what we would really want to be strengthening. Working cross race and cross class, so that's 1. 2 is political education and personal reflection on race and class identity. That's 2. 3, means 4, training and personal support towards donor organizing, collaborative fundraising. 5, learning directly from grassroots social justice movements. 6, participating in democratic grant-making practices. And 7 is community building via personal storytelling. I see some 2s. I see some 1s and 5s, okay. So some political education, some learning directly. Great, I see some people that have got a few numbers. I'm wondering if maybe 1 person would be and say why they chose what they did in terms of what resonates with you in terms of strengthening. Anybody willing to share? Yeah, is it M-E-R-I, Mary? Yeah, maybe just pronounce your name if yeah. And mute, come off of mute. You're muted if you see if, or we can.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you so.
So, I don't want to talk for more than 2 minutes, but, and so if someone would be my timekeeper and just, it might be you, Julian, because now I can see other people. If anybody wants to put up a hand and
Sure.
give me a 30-second warning, and it goes like this. So, I'm going to try and say in 2 minutes my personal mixed feelings, and it goes like this. So I served on the board of directors of Maine Initiatives for 6 years, and it was a wonderful, and I was working for Unum, a large corporation, and this was such a great antidote to that because I had a chance to learn about grassroots and social justice organizing efforts throughout the state. I've recently, and so my husband and I have been donors starting when we were immediately out of graduate school. And we, and our daughter took a look, and so this has been for a very long time. I graduated in '81. My daughter took a look at the organizations that we give to and gave me this great feedback that some of my giving, trails related, land conservation related, which is a particular interest of ours, really reflects white privilege, and that I should expand our cohort of organizations to be to work cross race and cross class more intentionally, and specifically for racial justice. But she kind of came up empty with suggestions of the organizations that most resonate with me. And so I am here. So I'm going to just give you one other bit of background about me, and I mention again, I don't want to give me that 2-minute warning or that 30-second warning. I have been retired now for some period of time, and for the first 10 years of my retirement, I was very active with commissions and boards. I helped form a investment club that made low interest loans to farmers in Maine. I served on the Maine Governmental Ethics Commission. I served on 2 city commissions, and the list kind of goes on. And with the onset of the pandemic, I stepped back from everything. And I'm now in the quiet phase, what had been a very busy phase, and there was more even than I'm describing. And so it does not resonate with me to work hard in the way that, you know, I am someone that I want to participate, but I don't.
Mhm,
I have and that's what I wanted to describe.
mhm, mhm,
I am not interested in fundraising within my various communities. I may or may not be interested in a group process of decision making.
mhm,
You know, because I'd like to think that I can get ideas and make decisions in a way that creates ease for me as a donor.
I
So
love it. Okay.
I really wanted to give you
Yeah.
all of that.
Thank you.
Because
Yeah,
yeah, sure, because it's a mixed feeling and
sure.
there may, yeah. And I'm
Yeah,
happy to talk at length, Julian, with anybody
thank
further.
you. Well, just a couple, thank you for sharing that,
Mhm.
for coming off of mute. And I just want to lift up a couple of things that you said that I heard. One is that we can be engaged in the work and also not know, be engaged and not know who all of the groups that are doing the work, right? We can have that commitment, right? So there is something about collective learning, also about accountability. Like, what can we learn together? Too, and how can we shift it ourselves through this process as well? And so, yeah, and again, this is new for me. Like, this will be the first time that we will do this. So yeah, but what I've heard is that this is a transformational experience for people in that group together, right? To be open to like not knowing how we will engage the work after we go through this. So thank you so much for sharing that. I would love to turn it over to Tracy now, just to talk a little bit about the network, but really also to talk about what her experience was being a part of one of these giving projects. So Tracy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I just want to say out loud to all of you, what an amazing turnout. I'm so glad to see so many folks interested in the Giving Project. And I think that's just a real reflection of the team at Maine Initiatives for getting the word out and being so connected. Thank you for being here, everyone. I am touched by your curiosity. I'm Tracy Gonyu. I use she and her pronouns. I am in the other Portland. I'm in Portland, Oregon. I'm just going to start with talking about my experience as an alum. I want to share a response to some of the things that I'm hearing come up today, and also just share a little bit about the Giving Project Network. So I'm hoping to take no more than 5 minutes of your time, so maybe someone can keep an eye on that. I did a Giving Project back in 2016 with Social Justice Fund. They're a sister fund based here in the Pacific Northwest. For me, this was an opportunity to feel like I was doing something in the wake of Donald Trump getting elected. I was just like, oh my God, I need to do something. I need a political home. I want to feel like there is action. Like, I want to be engaged and like creating something. Julian used the word transformative. Giving Project was transformative for me. I really got to explore my relationship to money and what that means for me, what it means to ask for money. Super uncomfy. I remember I quit Girl Scouts when I was a kid because I didn't want to sell cookies, right? And so asking for money is just, right, there's just stuff that we carry around money. And so this was a space to get to really explore relationships to it. This is an amazing opportunity to get to build a class analysis. Not many spaces do that. And to have it with race and class together is just really powerful. So yeah, I got to learn about what it means to make a gift that's meaningful, how to ask for money and giving it away. I loved my cohort and the peers and the connection to alumni sense. It's just an incredible space to be in. Like, it's hard, at least in this Portland, to find spaces that are across race and class and gender and age, right? Like, I feel like I live in a bubble here. And it was a really beautiful experience to get to connect with people who are values aligned, but have very different lived experiences, and how that really got to broaden my own understanding of the work. I also feel like the Giving Project is kind of like a dream. Like, the container and like the community that is created is like the most hopeful possibility of like what we can be in community. So we get to create just this like magnetic force field together that feels really good. And we get to practice, right? Like, we get to explore some challenging topics and like get to learn from each other, which is so powerful. When I did the Giving Project, it was the most significant gift I had ever made. And I think the cool thing about Giving Projects is that like, that was my first touch point, and I have given more since. And I have thought more creatively about ways I can engage my community around shifting resources. In 2019, I started working for the Giving Project Network. So Maine Initiatives is a part of a national network of 8 other social justice foundations. So Seattle, Portland is one area here in the Pacific Northwest. There's a fund in Denver, Minneapolis, Chicago, Philly, New York, Detroit. So y'all are part of something bigger and greater, and really on the most left-leaning side of philanthropy, which, you know, philanthropy is problematic in a lot of ways. And we're really trying to disrupt what is possible around funding our own liberation movements.
Maybe next slide, Bree. Sorry, next slide, Bree.
So
Thank you.
these 9 funds are committed to community organizing. That's something Julian said that Maine Initiatives is committed to. That is something that unifies all of our 9 funds. And we all do it through donor organizing. And this is a concept that I just want to break down a little bit. A donor organizer, some people might use that word interchangeably with fundraising. But for me, what is so essential is that we are putting donor and organizer side by side. So often what happens is that there's donors, people with money, who get to fund what they think is important, right? And then you have organizers on the ground who are like, we know what's important, our liberation is important, and they have to like bend to figure out how to get funding from people who hold wealth. And so this concept of donor organizing is that we are both, right? We are both fundraising, we are both giving resource, and we are organizing our people to also give, and collectively we are getting to decide where that money goes. And another part of the organizing aspect that I think is important to just lift up is that when you are making one-on-one asks of people, you are also organizing them. So even if they say no, you have just invited them into social justice, community organizing spaces, right? You are bringing them alongside with you and bringing them into movement. And that's just as important as the money raised. What else do I want to say? In terms of the network, we are all over the place. And so the work there is really to support, we have 2 strategic priorities, and the work there is to support our facilitators, the staff who run the Giving Project. So we want to make sure that they feel supported, and that is often through peer learning. It is through meetings where folks can share and resource each other. We have an annual convening that is next week, where we're going to get to be in person for the first time in 3 years, but we've been doing them remotely during COVID. And then our second priority is to work with and onboard new funds. And so Maine Initiatives is in that space right now. where we're really seeking to build relationships and broaden our scope of who can do a giving project, because we really believe that everyone should be able to do a giving project. Very quickly, do you have the data page, Julian?
We do, yeah. There's a slide with both the member funds, but there's a network impact slide. If you could maybe pull that one up.
Just for the scope, I wanted to share some numbers with you just so you can get a sense of like what Giving Project does. Julian said that the goal that for you all for this first Giving Project is to raise $100,000, which is so possible. I remember when I did my first one, that was our goal. And I was like, no. I was like looking around at how many people were in the space. And I was like, okay, based on the number of people in the room and that goal, I like did the division. And I was like, that means I have to raise. And like, that's not it, right? It's like collectively we are doing this and we all have different connections and access to wealth. And so this is not an equal moment, right? It's like we all have different relationships and we're all going to bring in different things. And the pot of money is one, right? So on average, Giving Projects raise between $100,000 and $150,000, but they have raised over $300,000. Since 2010, we have moved over $18.5 million from over 20,000 donors and over 2,500 alumni. So just know that there are over 2,500 alumni that you essentially now are connected to. And whenever I hear that there is an alumni, I'm like, you are my people. Like, I see you, I get you. We've had a shared lived experience going through this. Let's see. There's some other numbers there. I'll let you read them. They're pretty astounding. I love it so much. I will say that meaningful gifts, everyone's asked to make a gift that is meaningful to them, which is going to be very different based on access to wealth, based on current conditions in your life, based on family lineage, right? Based on all sorts of things. And those meaningful gifts have ranged from $5 to over $100,000. So really there's a wide range again. So when we have that goal, it's that folks are giving very different amounts. In response to some of the things that came up from Julian's presentation and to Mary, to some of the things that you said, one, I just noticed that I feel like no one put in the chat box that they were interested in meaningful gifts. And I think that is just a noticing I want to lift up. It is uncomfy. And I think because no one put that there, that is actually a huge priority, because there is an opportunity to be stretched there and it is uncomfy. And so I just wanted to name that because I noticed that no one put that in the chat box. And I would say that like your self-awareness around if you are ready to be moved is hugely important. This is a big commitment and you have to want to be engaged in community. You have to want to be a part of democratic decision-making. You have to want to let go of money that you give and raise because it is no longer your money. It is not your friend's money anymore. It is the collective pot. And in fact, the money is going right? It's like redistribution. It's going back to where it should be. It's going back to the folks on the ground who know what they need. We don't necessarily know what we need or what others need, what organizers need, right? Unless you are on the ground right now, grassroots organizing, this is an opportunity to get to connect with who is on the ground and get to fund the work that they are telling us is important. So I think it is very important for you all to get very clear on, is this the right time? Am I ready to be moved? Am I ready to engage deeply in community? And I think if you're like, yeah, right. I think anyone who's like, I am here for those things. I am scared and nervous about what a meaningful gift might be. I'm scared to ask my friends for money. Being scared is okay. You're going to be held by the facilitators and each other, right? You're going to get to co-create this process. But you have to be willing. So if you're curious and open, I encourage you all to say yes to this transformative experience and to get connected to folks all around the country who are moving money, shifting money to organizing. That's what I got for you. If you need anything else or questions, I'm here. Thanks so much for being curious about this experience. I hope you say yes.
Yay, Tracy, thank you so much for taking time to visit with us, share your experience little bit about the network. Yeah, and we're just excited to see you in person too. We get to be together in person for a whole week with this incredible network. One thing I want to say about the network, and I know that we're at one, but over the last year, it has really become like a political home for me, you know, in this work. Amazing people. So that is part of what you will be connected with if this is something that you are willing to commit to. Thank you, Tracy, for joining us. Just to let folks know, I know it is one, so just going to share two last things. If you want to stick around for questions and answers, welcome that. We will be here. But those of you who have to leave, we're going to follow up with everybody who signed up for this meeting with more information, and also a way that if you are interested, that essentially you can apply for us to follow up with you to have a one-on-one discussion about this. So we will be sharing that with you as well. Next slide, and Ashley, if you would change the spotlight to. So let's see, this who are we looking for slide, Bree, if you wouldn't mind. I think we're going to skip over a couple here just so we can wrap up. There's so much I want to tell you about this program. That's what I think we're going over. Who we're looking for. We're really looking for people who are seeking that personal growth and transformation, who are ready for that. This is a commitment. You know, we will be meeting for the most part on Saturdays, and it's going to be long sessions, 4 to 6 hour sessions. This is a commitment. So yeah, willing to make a significant time commitment to the process. You know, think of that professional development or that class that you wanted to take or the group that you wanted to join, like this will be that group. So those who value community building across lines of race and class, we are going to be very intentional about the group that we build. Our goal is to have a group be at least 50% BIPOC, cross race, cross class, those from our queer, LGBTQ communities, intergenerational as well. So if you want to organize with people, this is a space for that. And wanting to learn how to fundraise, make grants, and expand your network. And then, Bree, just the schedule. Just want to share the schedule with you that we're planning. And again, we're going to follow up with more detailed information about the schedule. This will launch in January. So we're looking at end of January 2024. Between now and then, we'd love to have like a one-on-one conversation with you to give you a lot of the things we couldn't share today, but to really like investigate if this is right. We want to be very clear about the expectations, the commitment. So January, February, we'll do orientation and then have 2 different race and class workshops. Phase 2, sort of skill building, fundraising will happen in March, in addition to one-on-one coaching sessions and support. And then phase 3, the grant making will happen April through June. So we will be putting together RFP for community organizing groups across Maine. And then collectively too, with the cohort, going to be reviewing those, doing site visits, and then making the grants. All right, we are like 5 minutes over. Deep apologies. Let's go to the question slide, Bree. And yeah, maybe go to the next steps, just so if people have to leave, and then if you want to hang around for questions, awesome, we will be here. So we're going to follow up with more information, including a detailed schedule. So we have proposed dates for that 6-month period that we'll share with you. For the in-person sessions, there will be a few virtual sessions, not on a Saturday, again, for support. We're going to hold at least one more info session this fall, probably 2. So please share when we send you more information. Feel free to share that with people that you think this would be a good fit for. We'll follow up with an application as well. Schedule those one-on-one sort of interviews, conversations, and then we plan to select the cohort by the end of December so that you know yeah, if this is something that you'll, yeah, be selected for. And again, we're trying to make this cross race, cross class too. So that's part of our intention with who we will be selecting and inviting into this. Thank you for letting us go over a little bit. And yeah, for those who can stay, very willing to answer questions. Also, feel free to follow up with us too directly. Yeah, any questions that we can answer, or feel free to put them in the chat or come off mute or.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, Bridget, thank you. Yes.
I'm just wondering, with the fundraising piece, is the idea for it to be local networks or more broadly? I know we distributed locally, but I'm just trying to like envision this practically. For myself, I'm curious, or is it both? Yeah.
Sorry. So, and I was just yeah, distracted.
Well,
Ashley, could you bring us back to the gallery view, and then Bridget, would you be willing to
Sure.
just repeat the question? Yeah, so we can see everybody.
Yeah,
Thank
just tell
you.
me
Go ahead.
right now. Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm just curious. I'm
Yeah,
thinking
you're
about
good.
being the
Yeah, go
fundraising,
for it.
fundraiser organizing, or donor organizing. And I can think about doing that locally,
Mhm.
but if I were thinking about my own network, for example, like the only really wealthy person I know is not in Maine. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, right. Like, and so I'm just curious.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, that's fine. Yeah, in terms of donor organizing, really your networks.
Okay.
The organizations will be that
Right, of
we
course.
will fund
Yeah.
through this. But in your networks, yeah, wherever people are. Yeah. I mean, I think that is part of the excitement of this model too, is really bringing, potentially resources and also attention into the work that's happening in the state. So thank you. Great question. Any other questions? Erica, Keelan, Mary, Chloe. Yeah. Erica.
I'm shy about our already being over time, so this could maybe be a parking lot question
Yeah.
for the next time, but
Sure. Yeah.
I'm curious, I appreciate the collective kind of calling out on none of us getting super excited about the raising of the money. I think some of the questions I have are not so much about like raising money and getting it to good projects, but how will this dovetail with other competitive processes, and like how can we most directly get dollars to good community organizations without sort of recreating wheels. So probably a conversation for next steps, but I'm curious about how this plays out relative to the other wonderful grant making and donor work that Maine Initiatives is doing.
Yeah, great question, Erica. Yeah, so a couple things on that. I think grant is complementing. I mean, our grant making in general, right, with a racial justice focus and or supporting immigrant-led organizations, but this will be so specifically for community organizing groups who could also have received grants for Change or immigrant-led organization fund. But it also opens us up to supporting organizations who don't fit that eligibility criteria, amazing organizing across the state. So I could foresee a couple of those groups because there are some amazing organizing groups that are already funded. So yeah, it would only complement, certainly. And since you guys, lifting the veil back a little bit, since you guys are hanging around after one, to me too, this puts in place a fundraising network that I haven't, in terms of organizing at the grassroots level, that I haven't seen totally in Maine yet around issues that we can then build on to complement that work. And we've been hearing from, part of the reason we said yes to this is we've been hearing from people like yourselves who, like Erica, participated as a committee for Grants for Change last fall, and people come out of those experiences and tell us, yes, I want more of this. I want to engage deeper. So it's a way also of providing an opportunity for people to organize across their networks on an ongoing basis. So yeah, I see it as a real compliment to what we do, and to even like lift up those organizations more, and also to have them in the same room with each other too, which can be really effective in those moments when we need broad-based organizing to happen, across issues. So great question, Erica. Yeah, anything else that's up for people? And again, we are totally available to answer questions around this. We've got plenty of time before we're going to launch too. And also, if you are interested, would welcome you to, we will follow with an application this week. Invite you to fill that out. And then also we'll do an hour, 45 minutes to an hour just with you. You can ask all the questions and, and take time to formulate your thoughts around this, because it is a commitment. Yeah. Okay. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us today. There was so much I wanted to share about this. Probably could go on. And as you can see, Tracy is amazing. Shan, the other co-director, is an organizer national organizer who I was aware of just from being in organizing spaces, and incredible, team beginning project. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join today. I hope this was informative, and we'll be following up with all of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for the invitation to this important work. Have a great day.
Thank you. Yay. Maybe we pause the recording.
Yep.